All right, just give me 1 second. Hey! Welcome to the show. My name's Ryan Rizzuti, and this is the takeover of Ryan Rizzuti's Benny TV. It was Benny TV, not anymore. Ha! It's mine now. I sent my dad to SeaWorld. I told him that he won a prize. So I put a golden ticket in his. He had like a frozen fish dinner. It was like the Gordon's Fisherman, and I put a golden ticket, and I said you won a trip to SeaWorld. So him and my mom and some friends went to SeaWorld. Like they're at SeaWorld, and he can't figure out why they won't let him in with the golden ticket. It's really fun. I enjoy that. I'm just going to be looking at my phone because I didn't actually share this yet. So I'm going to share this right now for everyone to watch. Now you hear my phone. So now everyone gets to hear me twice because that's what everybody wants to hear. You want to hear me twice. Okay, so tonight is a big show. We got a big guest on. Just kidding, there's no guest. It's just going to be me talking for about like 40 minutes about all the movies that I saw this week. I saw four. Well, actually, it's not this week. It's last week and this week. Because last week, if you haven't seen last week's show, I would say go watch it after this one. And it's Pat Marone and John Santo, two great stand-up comedians from Long Island, who are two of the co-hosts for Laughter Saves Lives Live, which is on after us, which you should also be watching. And that was a great show. We had a lot of fun talking with them, me and my dad. It was the four of us messing around. I highly recommend watching that show. And now that I'm done with that, tonight I want to talk about four movies. Last week I saw two movies I didn't get a chance to review. This week I saw two movies. I was going to see a third. Didn't really get the chance to because I like having free time of doing other things than going to the movies, even though people are like, oh, Ryan, you go to the movies way too much. I'm like, I kind of don't go enough, but it's okay. So I did share on Facebook earlier today that I was going to review 5 movies, but I was going to watch a movie today, but I just watched The Hateful Eight again. If you want me to review The Hateful Eight again, I mean, technically I've never reviewed it, but I just talk about it for the past 3 years. Watch The Hateful Eight. It's really good. It's like a Western play directed by Tarantino. It's awesome. But, yeah, so I have 4 movies. I have a photo with the 4 movies that we can put up with... that shows the 4 movies I'm going to be talking about today. We have I'm going to go from left to right clockwise. We have on the bottom left, we have Bad Times at the El Royale, starring Jeff Bridges, Chris Hemsworth, Dakota Johnson, John Hamm. And then the top left, we have Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween, the sequel to the 2015 Goosebumps film. Goosebumps would be pretty cool. Then we have Venom. On the right, that's actually a cool Japanese poster of Venom. I found that. I was like, oh, I want to throw that up because, we're in America. People haven't seen that. It's different. People are going to be like, oh, what is that, like the Death Note movie? No, it's Venom. And then we have the Star is Born remake. Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga, the 4th Star is Born film. I'm going to be reviewing all 4 of these movies today. We can come back to me. You like seeing my face. So when we review these 4 movies... I'll do it in the order that it was on there. Why not? No, you know what? I'm going to do reverse. I'm going to do reverse order because then I'd be doing the new movies first and the movies from last week after. So I'm going to go reverse. Actually, I'm going to change up. Grab bag. You ain't going to know what's going to hit you first. I'm going to review Venom. Boom. There you go. Venom. Now, anytime I think about it, you don't need these. It's just me. So anytime that I think of Venom now, I think of Eminem made a song Venom for the movie. So anytime I want to say Venom, I just go Venom, Venom. That's just my life now. I just walk around saying that. Like, people are like, oh, did you see Venom? I'm like, oh, you mean Venom? Thanks, Eminem. So I saw Venom. I actually saw Venom twice. I saw it the night it came out, and I saw it after I went to Comic-Con last week. One of my friends really wanted to see it, and I actually wanted to see it again. So Venom, if you live under a rock, is a film starring Tom Hardy, directed by Ruben Fleischer, director of Zombieland, 30 Minutes or Less, Gangsta Squad. And it is the comic book adaptation of the superhero he is a superhero. He's a supervillain who becomes a superhero, but he is a superhero anti-hero, Venom, which has many iterations. They're doing the Eddie Brock iteration. As some people may know, he then gets taken by Flash Thompson, who is a character in the Spider-Man universe played by Joe Manganiello, and I can't think of the actor's name in Spider-Man Homecoming, but the bully in Homecoming is also the same character Joe Manganiello played in the Spider-Man films, and he's played by some douchey kid in Amazing Spider-Man. Nobody cares about that movie. But Venom, this is Eddie Brock. It's Tom Hardy. It's based on the Lethal Protector storyline. It's very different. It doesn't really follow the comic. The best way to describe this film, there's two ways. I'll say both of them. One is it's a superhero film that was written and not made, but it feels like it was made. But it was written in like 2006, 2007, before pre-Dark Knight, and then was actually made now. Or maybe they made it, left it in a box somewhere, and somebody just found the box. You know, like Jumanji style or something. And the other way I like to describe it, and this is really how, in my opinion, this is the best way to describe Venom. It's a dark, gritty reboot of The Mask. Jim Carrey's The Mask. It's a dark, gritty reboot of The Mask. It feels like a 90s superhero movie. It has a lot of the same tropes that... If you mix Fantastic, the 2015 Fantastic Four film, with The Mask, that's what Venom is. That's literally the best way to describe Venom, is if you mix The Mask with Fantastic. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But it's a bad movie. But I like it. It's a great conundrum. So I like Venom, but it's a very bad movie. But Tom Hardy is so great in the movie. He knows exactly he knows what movie he's in. He knows exactly what he signed up for. He's chewing the scenery. He also voices Venom. They have a very interesting dynamic, which is kind of like a cross between like a buddy cop movie and Little Shop of Horrors with like the Feed Me Seymour, the plant, Rick Moranis. If you haven't seen that movie, you should. It's good. It's better than Venom, but Venom. The actual story of Venom, the plot is trash. It's not very good. But Tom Hardy is great. And if you want to see a very funny, fun performance, I would say go see Venom for that. It has some interesting action. Not all of it's great. It has a lot of promise, and I would like to see Tom Hardy still play this character in more things. That's definitely something I would like to see. But it's not a good movie. We'd never say that Venom's good. But it's fun. I had fun with it. I'm not going to spend that much more time talking about it because that's about all I can say. So, now I'll review a movie that I saw this week. I'll review a movie that I'm a big fan of that I want to talk about. And that is Bad Times at the El Royale, which is a movie that I feel like should be getting more fanfare than it deserves. So I have one of those things called a runny nose. I have to catch it. Damn, plastic surgery always goes wrong. So Bad Times at the El Royale is a film directed by Drew Goddard, who is a director whose name is very little known, but he has a very wide body of work. So he's most known for, he was the writer and director of Cabin in the Woods, which most people think was directed by Joss Whedon. But it wasn't. He produced it, and I believe he co-wrote it with Goddard. But Goddard was the director of Cabin in the Woods. Goddard also wrote The Martian with Matt Damon, directed by Ridley Scott. And he also was a writer on Lost, and he was the creator and writer of the first season, or at least the first half of the first season of Marvel's Daredevil. And then he left that to work on the Sinister Six film that was never made. So he has a little bit of a connection to the Venom property himself. And he's a great director. And this is one of his, still his directing body of work is still very small. So it's still a small sample size. But it's a film that he directed and wrote. And it has a huge ensemble cast. Like I said earlier, it's John Hamm, Jeff Bridges, Chris Hemsworth, Dakota Johnson. Then there's some newcomers, Luis Pullman, Cynthia Erivo. And it's a very Tarantino-esque film Takes place at the El Royale Hotel, which is situated directly on the county line, well, not the state lines between Nevada and California. And it goes right through the hotel, right down the middle. And you can choose to stay in Nevada or California. But California's $1 more. But the alcohol license is in California, not in Nevada. So if you want to drink, you got to drink in the California side, not the Nevada side. And it's all these cast of strangers all get put into this hotel. They all have their different reasons for being there. Most of them aren't who they say they are. You know, John Hamm is a vacuum salesman. Maybe he's not. Jeff Bridges is a priest. Maybe he's not. Dakota Johnson's a hippie. Maybe she's not. The bellhop. He's a bellhop. But it's a really interesting setup, and it has a very mystery feel. It has a little bit of a Hateful Eight vibe, which is probably why I felt like watching Hateful Eight today instead of watching something else, like The Spy Who Dumped Me or something that was probably going to suck. Was because this film has that very claustrophobic feel, but a little different because there's not the snow or the weather. There is a weather element, and the film it's very good. It does. If you like Tarantino films, I think you'll enjoy it. But then some people also don't like films that are Tarantino-like that aren't directed by Tarantino because they feel like they don't do it the same as good as Tarantino. It depends on the movie, and honestly depends on the movie, because some movies I 100% agree with that, and some movies I disagree. I think this film toes the line very well, and it has actually a reviewer that I really like, William Bibbiani, said this. It feels like if Paul Thomas Anderson made a Tarantino-like film, because the cinematography is spot on, and the cinematography is all done very PTA-like, very wide, vibrant shots that really get it a lot in. There's some scenes that feel like scenes in Paul Thomas Anderson films, but like a mixture between a Paul Thomas Anderson film and a Tarantino film. The same reviewer that I like, William Bibbiani, also said that one of the scenes, my favorite scene in the movie, feels like a cross between, happens at the very end with Chris Hemsworth's character. And I'm not telling you a lot about the characters or what goes on in the movie, because it's one of those movies that it's better you just watch one trailer and then watch it without ever having seen a trailer, because as it unfolds, it's better that way. It's better for your viewing experience, the little you know about this movie. So it's called The Bad Times at the El Royale. If you're just tuning in, I highly recommend it. But it has this feel of this specific scene, I got off track, has a mixture of the Alfred Molina scene in Boogie Nights mixed with like a Tarantino scene, like the kind of like the Reservoir Dogs, Stuck in the Middle with You scene, or something along those lines. And I think Drew Goddard does a great job of that. It could be a little long in the tooth. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. They could probably have cut 10 minutes, maybe even a little less. It's more nitpicking. They maybe could have cut it to being a little faster. The editing style of this movie can be a little jarring at times, but also works really well at times. And you'll see certain scenes from different characters' perspectives. So you'll see the same scene maybe 2 or 3 times, but every time it's from a completely different character perspective. So you're getting a whole different view of the scene, and it works really well. And then sometimes they'll show some flashbacks, and sometimes it'll pull you out a little bit, but sometimes they'll do it and it works more into the film's favor. So it's a film I highly recommend. Out of the 4 films I'm going to review, it's probably my second favorite. I will give you the rankings after I review all the movies. I don't want to do that right now. But I highly recommend Bad Times at the El Royale. If you like Tarantino-style films or mystery film, I would say, I had a friend I showed the trailer to, and he's like, oh, that's not what I expected from the poster. There's a couple different posters from the film. But I would say definitely go in with an open mind. Think about like a Tarantino-esque film. If you like Tarantino-style movies, I would say definitely give this movie a shot. It's definitely one of Chris Hemsworth's best non-Thor roles. He plays a really, really fun scene-stealing character. John Hamm is very good in it. John Hamm's usually good in everything. Jeff Bridges is my favorite actor, just period. I'll watch any movie once if Jeff Bridges is in it. Once. Everybody gets one, Jeff. Or every Jeff movie gets one, I guess. But Jeff Bridges is great. There's an actress, Cynthia Erivo, whose name I didn't know, but she's actually a Daytime Emmy winner. My mic almost fell. Daytime Emmy winner. She's a Grammy winner. She's a Tony winner. And I think give her a couple years, she's probably going to get an Oscar. She's a great actress. She's really great. And this is the first film that I know of that I've seen her in, but I know she's also in a film coming out next month called Widows, which looks really good, and apparently she's amazing in that as well. So she's going to be a name to look out for, that's Cynthia Erivo. And yeah, I think that's all I want to say about Bad Times at the Royale. Maybe one day, if I get enough people to talk about it, I'll do a spoiler review and talk more in depth about the movie. But until then, I would just say see it. Unfortunately, this film didn't do very well in the box office, so if you want to see it, I would say see it within the next couple of weeks, because it might not be there after that. It's a film that I really think would have thrived on a streaming platform, on Netflix, Amazon, something like that. It would definitely thrive, so I hope it does get its due on a streaming platform. I think, I was explaining this to my friends, all the movies that have been out, the big movies, are based on some sort of property. A Star is Born is a remake of a remake of a remake. Venom is based on a famous comic book in the Spider-Man universe. Goosebumps is a sequel to a very popular film based on a very popular book franchise. Smallfoot, I guess, is the Yeti, but that's for little kids. And then Night School is the only movie doing better than it that is also an original movie. And I guess that's just because of Kevin Hart. But I guess we're in the day and age now where original movies people don't really run out to see all the time. You'll get the occasional Get Out, A Quiet Place. But this one definitely wasn't one of them that people were running out to see. And I really hope it does get its due. I think it's definitely going to become a cult classic, if anything. So I highly recommend Bad Times at the El Royale. The next film that I'm going to talk about is, why not? I'm going to talk about Goosebumps 2. So Goosebumps 2 is a sequel to Goosebumps. Came out in 2015 with Jack Black as R.L. Stine. It's a very fun movie. It's kind of like a throwback to the films that we'd watch as kids in the 90s, like 90s horror movies, Hocus Pocus, 80s ones like Monster Squad. It feels like one of those, like a nice homage mixed in with the world of Goosebumps. And if you were a fan of the Goosebumps TV series as a kid, if it scared you like it did me when I was little, it's a great movie, the first 2015 Goosebumps. The new one, Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween, is some hogwash, some grade A hogwash. It's some hogwash. It's a trash bag of a movie. So this year, the big thing was Jack Black is in the first one as R.L. Stine. He's the big lead. Jack Black this year was also in a film called The House with a Clock in Its Walls, which came out at the end of last month, which is actually a pretty good movie and has the same sort of feel as those like early 90s kids horror films. And I very much enjoyed it. It's Jack Black and Cate Blanchett. And when that was coming out, everyone was like, oh, well, Goosebumps 2 is coming out, and he's not in any of the advertising, so I guess he's not in it. He must not be in it. He must have chose this one over the other one. That one, House of the Clock, was also directed by Eli Roth, who's a very well-known horror director. It's his first kids film. In my opinion, it's his best work. He was the director of Hostel, among other films, Green Inferno, Cannibals. I made my friends see that once. I think they're still mad at me. But, Cannibals. They ate Junie Cortez. That was cool. From Spy Kids. Yeah, he gets eaten. If you want to see Junie Cortez from Spy Kids get eaten alive by cannibals, watch The Green Inferno. If you're not into that, then forget I brought it up. So, Goosebumps 2, Jack Black, is in the film for about 9.5 minutes. And based on the movie, I could really tell that it was all reshoots, or most likely there is a chance that this was all written, but it seems like a movie that was made. They did test screenings for it, and people were like, oh, this seems like a really bad like TV movie or a 90s VHS sequel instead of like a real big budget sequel. And people were upset that, the main character, R.L. Stine, Jack Black as R.L. Stine's not even in it, but you're still doing the same sort of thing. It's kind of just like a bad ripoff of the first one. So they asked Jack Black to come do it, and he said, okay, under one condition. It's 1 day of shooting, and you can't put me in any advertising until after my other film comes out. Because the weekend after, I would say, House of the Clock in Its Walls came out on Friday. On Monday or Tuesday of that week, they came out with a trailer with Goosebumps with Jack Black in it. So I think it must be a contractual thing. or something. He told them, like, listen, you have to do this. And some people watching. Thank you guys for watching. Nick Giramonti, nice 5 Towns kid. I like your hair. You're good. You're a good soul. I also am a big fan of the first Goosebumps. The first Goosebumps is a great movie. This one, wait till it comes out on streaming and watch it then if you're still into it. There's parts of it that are very good. That was kind of a lie. There's parts of it that are worth watching. There's like 2 jokes that I laughed at. There's parts of it. So there's one thing. I went with one of my friends. Great man, Andrew Wood. Vote for him this coming election year. He's not running for anything, but just write him in. He likes that. And he's a really big horror guy. I'm trying to get him on the show one day, and we'll do an all horror show. He's a big horror guy. He's a huge Goosebumps fan. He has tons of books. He knows more about that than I do. He knows a lot more about horror than I do, and I just. I know a little bit of everything. I try to traverse the globe. I can talk to you about Devil Wears Prada for an hour. I know a little bit of everything. And just about the devil and why she wears Prada. But he was a huge fan of the first Goosebumps film, like me. And the second one we saw together. And what he liked about parts of it were there are parts of this movie that feel like an extended episode of the show. And those are the best parts of the movie. And that's a very interesting concept. But I don't think they even realized they were doing that. I think they didn't realize they were doing that at all. That part works, but I don't think they realized they were doing that. I don't recommend Goosebumps 2. Out of the 4 films, it's the lowest on the totem pole. Above Venom. So I kind of revealed my rankings. It's Goosebumps, Venom, Bad Times, and now I'm just going to transition right into A Star is Born. So A Star is Born is a film directed by Bradley Cooper in his directorial debut, starring Bradley Cooper. It's the 4th version of A Star is Born. I actually haven't seen any of the other films. I know that the first one, I can't think of the actress that played it. I'll look it up right now because I actually would like to know this. But the first one was from 1937, and it was Janet Gaynor in her only Technicolor film. That's actually pretty impressive because it was 1937, and Frederick March in his Technicolor debut. So this is, I believe, it was one of the first films to be in color at the time. So that was a big deal. And then the second film had what's her name? The one she was over the she was over the rainbow. She was on that rainbow, the rainbow. Judy Garland. They had Judy Garland and James Mason. And then the third one had Chris Christopherson, known as Whistler in the Blade films, and Barbra Streisand. And that was in like 76, 77. And that was the last one that they did until now. So it's been a very long time since they made A Star is Born. But it's kind of a tried and true story, a story you kind of know. And it's the story of a rocker, a big star, who is he's big top star who meets somebody and falls in love with them who is somebody on the bottoms, a waitress, or in this one she's a waitress. And she's a big star. I got a little hello wave from John LaRocchia. Nice reminder, Laughter Saves Lives Live goes on at 8 o'clock tonight. You're very welcome, John. John appreciated that. And I keep dropping the battery for the mic. If you know why I just keep doing this, I keep just sliding off my pants. It's my own fault. I'm gonna put it here, so I can't do that. So it looks like I have 2 phones. I got my burner. This is my burner phone. And I got off topic, but so I'll give you the plot of this one, and it's the same as all of them. It's a tried and true story. It's Bradley Cooper is this aging rock star who's a big star, very famous, kind of like a like an Eddie Vedder. He followed Eddie Vedder for a few months actually for this movie. So let's say he's like an Eddie Vedder type. He meets this girl played by Lady Gaga in her I think, film lead debut. She had a couple cameos, and she was in one of the seasons of American Horror Story. I don't watch it, so I don't remember which season. It was 4 or 5 or 76. There's a lot of seasons of American Horror Story. And she's on that. And I've always heard that she was very good on that. I believe she won a Golden Globe. And in this film, she plays a waitress who always wanted to be a singer, dreams of being a singer. Just behind happenstance, meets this famous celebrity, famous singer. They fall in love. She starts to skyrocket as his career starts to fall to the ground. And I love this movie. This was my favorite out of the 4 movies. This is one of my favorite movies of the year. It's definitely going to be my top 10 by the end of the year. Bradley Cooper, I thought, was great directing and starring in the film. It's very hard to direct a movie. I know from directing just short films, it's very difficult. So directing a feature is an impossible task, especially for a first-time filmmaker who was an actor his entire career. And I think it was, it shows how great he is as a talent because he sings in the film, and it's one of the only, other than Wet Hot American Summer, it's the only other time I can think of him singing. He also, he acts in it, he directs it, he does a great job directing. He gets amazing performances out of the cast. Sam Elliott is in the film as his older brother, and I took my mom to see A Star is Born because my mom's a big fan of the original. She was not really, well, not the original. She's a big fan of the Judy Garland one and the Barbra Streisand version. Big fan of the Barbra Streisand version. My mom loves Barbra Streisand. All my house, just Barbra Streisand, everything. My mom has a Barbra Streisand mask, so when she yells at me, she puts it on. Barbra Streisand, big part of my household. My mom's a big fan of Barbra Streisand. I took my mom to see this movie. She cried 6 times. And my mom told me she never thought she was going to like this movie as much as she did. And she loved it. My mom loved it so much she was upset she didn't have anybody to see it with again later that day. That's how much she loved it. She wanted to see it twice in one day. And she cried. My mom cried 6 times during this movie. She said it was beautiful. Based on what my mom said, 'cause I haven't seen any of the other films. My mom has. They stay tried and true to the formula, but they change up a lot of the characters and the way that a lot of the characters interact and their storylines are very different. And that's really where the film shines. In my opinion, and in my mom's opinion, who has seen the other films. I have only seen this one. But I've seen films with similar premises. And then we have one of the things that my mom kept saying was Bradley Cooper sounds like Chris Christopherson, who plays that same character in the 70s version. My mom's like, oh, he's trying to emulate Chris Christopherson. He's trying to, and I was like, I don't think he's trying to emulate Chris Christopherson. I think he's trying to emulate Sam Elliott, who plays his older brother and sounds very similar to Chris Christopherson. And I thought that was amazing how close he sounded to Sam Elliott. And to the point that I never thought that I would buy them as brothers. And I could fully believe that they're related. That's how good they were in the film. I totally thought that they were related. I thought they were great. I thought the chemistry between Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper was fantastic. I thought they did a great job with that. I very much enjoyed the whole film. They had some great side characters. Andrew Dice Clay is in the film as Lady Gaga's father. He has a small role, but he has a lot of great scenes, and he has a very powerful performance. Dave Chappelle is only in the movie for a hand. Dave Chappelle is in A Star is Born about as much as Jack Black is in Goosebumps 2. And Dave Chappelle is great in the movie, in the little bit he is. I don't think I ever said this with Goosebumps 2. Jack Black is great in the movie. He's just only in it for 9 minutes, and it was all reshoots. But he's great in the scenes that he's in. I'll say that now. But back to A Star is Born. There's very little I can say about the movie that's bad, other than it's kind of predictable. And if you know the story, you know what's going to happen. But I thought it was great. There's very little about the movie that I could complain about. It was a very great movie. I would see it again. I highly recommend it. Out of the 4 movies that I've reviewed, that is definitely my favorite. Bad Times at the Royale is also great. If I were to recommend 2 out of the 4, I would definitely recommend Bad Times at the Royale and A Star is Born. I would definitely recommend both of those movies. Venom, I would say if you just want a good time, disposable. If you want to see it, go see it. It's not Catwoman bad like some reviewers were saying it was as bad as Catwoman. It's not as bad as Catwoman. It's probably better than the Fantastic Four ones with Chris Evans and Jessica Alba. It's probably better than those movies. It's like in that realm. Like I kind of lump it in with the early 2000s superhero movies, Venom. And then Bad Times at the Royale is a great Tarantino-esque film with some amazing cinematography, and I highly recommend it. It's some great performances. And A Star is Born has great performances. It's a very good story, although done before, and I think Bradley Cooper did an amazing job in his directorial debut. And an interesting little tidbit. I found this out just like Googling and whatnot. The cinematographer for A Star is Born is also the cinematographer for Venom. And both of them came out on the same day. And they're two completely different movies. And it's just very interesting to see that with filmmaking and how that goes, where you have a cinematographer did two such completely different movies. And stylistically, they're very different, have a different style, and it shows how he can kind of change as a cinematographer. So I'll actually get that cinematographer's name because he deserves his name to be said. Matthew Libatique. He's Darren Aronofsky's cinematographer. He directed for a Dream, Mother, Black Swan, Noah. All very, very good movies. Mother I actually haven't seen. I hear mixed things, but he also did Phone Booth, Gothica, Inside Man, Spike Lee movie I'm a big fan of, Number 23. So you see how vast and different his cinematography, his filmography is as a cinematographer. And you'll see that with some directors from time to time, that they're very different. Ruben Fleischer, the director of Venom, directed Zombieland. What they have in common other than Woody Harrelson? Yeah, Woody Harrelson has a cameo in Venom. Spoiler alert. Woody Harrelson shows up. I spoiled the whole movie. Now you can't watch it. I know. I ruined it. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so I would, other than Goosebumps, all the movies are a good time, worth seeing. Venom's a bad movie, but you can have fun with it. The other two are great, great movies. Bad Times at the Royale is a great movie. A Star is Born is a fantastic film. Both of them are definitely recommendable, rewatchable, definitely going to be great movies. I would say Bad Times is probably a little bit more rewatchable than A Star is Born, because A Star is Born does get very sad and very dark towards the end. So is the storyline, but it's a great movie, and I highly recommend it. I can't recommend it enough. I can't recommend Bad Times or A Star is Born enough. I kind of ran out of things to say about all four movies. That went quick. I talk a lot. This is what happens. I talk too much. I just ramble on about things. I don't really have anything else to rant about this week. There's a lot of movies that I want to watch and shows that I want to watch. I didn't get a chance to see First Man. I'm going to try to do that. I kind of had a choice between First Man and seeing First Man and Bad Times, and I chose Bad Times because I hear that it's a little bit slower. The First Man, and Ryan Gosling kind of has a very stoic performance, is what I've been told. So I kind of wanted to see something a little more fun, a little more vibrant, and ever since I first heard about Bad Times at the Royale, I was interested in it. I do like those types of movies, so maybe I'm a little biased because I do like those types of movies. But if it's bad, I would have crucified it for destroying what could have been a great movie. Because I feel like Hotel Artemis is a movie that tried to do that and kind of failed. Although some people will say that movie's better than this, I very much disagree. I would say watch Hotel Artemis, judge for yourself. That's the science fiction film with Jodie Foster that came out May or June. Batista's in that, Jeff Goldblum. I would definitely recommend Bad Times over that, in my opinion. Bad Times is definitely one of the top films of the year for me. I don't have that much left to talk about. So we're going to be back next week. My dad should be back from SeaWorld. We have Laugh to Save Lives live on after this. Guys, be sure to like the Strong Island Facebook page. Share this video with your friends, with your loved one, with your friends' loved ones. And stay tuned for Laughter Saves Lives Live. They're already getting the yucks up back there. I can hear them. They're having a grand old time. It's going to be kind of an early or quick show this week. I hope you enjoyed my reviews. I kind of didn't do anything wacky. I kind of just talked about movies. I'm a wee bit under the weather this week, so I kind of just ranted about movies for a little bit. And I think the meds are starting to kick in. That's why I'm getting a little slower in my drawl. Still not shutting up, though. So that about wraps it up tonight, guys. I really hope you enjoyed watching. We'll be back 7 p.m. every Tuesday night until the dawn of time, until the end of time. It wouldn't make sense the other way. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Stay tuned for Laughter Saves Lives Live, and then we have Could Be You TV after them at 9 o'clock. So stay tuned on Strong Island Radio and Television. Like and share the page. Have a great night.